Hello one and all, Jasper here, and I want to start off by apologizing for the quality of the audio. This is the first recording I've made since I've moved to my new home, so I'm still kind of figuring everything out. But anyways, just like how I talked about the best sigils in A Song of Ice and Fire, it was only a matter of time until I made a sequel talking about the worst sigils, and boy howdy, are there some garbage sigils. In fact, after looking through all of them, I have to say, most of the sigils in the franchise are not for me, and it was difficult to decide which ones were the worst. Do I pick the sigils that are just boring and uninspired, like House Black Bar, which sigil is, you guessed it, a black bar, or do I go with the sigils that look like a priest just ran over a parade of clowns? In the end, I went with the more jarring and ugly sigils. Keep in mind, these are book only, so show variations are not going to be on here. Anyways, enough about that. Let's tackle the first one at number 10, which is every single banner that has a fuck ton of one thing on it. Examples are House Ambrose, House Baelish of Harrenhal, House Blaintree, House Botley, and House Celticer. All of these fail at the famous CGP Grey 5 flag rules that I am now going to arbitrarily force into this video. Number 1. Keep it simple, something a child could draw. Number 2. Make it distinct at a distance, no tiny details. Number 3. 3 colors or fewer. And the other 2 don't matter because no sigils break those rules. Right off the bat, you should see some of the issues. While these are technically simple, it's a tedious, lazy matter that you would only think is a good idea if you were in the modern age and you can just Control-C and Control-V everything you need to do. The only one that kind of gets away with it is House Ambrose cause it's ants, but crabs, mockingbirds, fish, fuck off with that. Trying to copy these for children will give them carpal tunnel. Also, if you're holding these sigils at a distance, good luck figuring out which one is which. Heck, Ambrose and Blaintree are practically interchangeable like this. All of these designs fail for the exact same reason, and for that they all belong here on this list. The reason I mushed them up together was that I didn't want them to take up the entire list. Number 9. House Falwell. Like the jester on the sigil itself is a joke. An overcomplicated design with a detailed human on it, juggling 5 sons. I've never been a fan of people on sigils. Tarly is the only one I can tolerate, and House Piper almost made it onto the list themselves. But they have intimidation or beauty that Falwell lacks. Maybe if we know more about the house it could help, like the founder was a jester, though I have no idea what juggling sons would hint at. Either way, this could be easily improved. Get rid of the fool itself and just have the hat on the sigil, replacing the bells on said hat with the suns. It's not amazing, but at least it wouldn't be on this list. Number 8. House Hewitt, or Hewitt? Whatever. While the symbolism of the sigil is nice, after all, House Hewitt rules over an island called Oakenshield, so having an oak shield on your sigil makes sense. Yet, there are too many colors, and while it's not making me want to remove my eyes from their sockets, the fact that simply removing the white and going for an all-blue color, letting the shield more easily symbolize the island itself, would bump it up a great deal. Either that or remove the iron studs on the shield, and give it a more classic design so that I don't think of House Royce every time I see it, which is a far better design. Also, I realize that technically the Royce house has writing on them because of the ruins, but since I can't read them, they still look great. Number 7. House Horpe. With a name like that, I'm surprised the Piper sigil isn't the one they went with. But this is such a busy and tedious sigil referencing so much that it means nothing. The pine tree is for Bear Island in the north, the grapes for the arbor in the reach, and the black raven for the maesters of Old Town. Though it should be noted that they lost all of these lands before Aegon's conquest, so it really shows off their failures. Had they just had the longship on black, it would have been fine, and instead of 9 different colors, they would have settled with 2. This is just an embarrassment in more ways than one. Number 6. Lannister of Darry. Originally it was just going to be House Darry that made it on the list, but when I remembered that Lancel Lannister was the new head of the family after the Red Wedding, and I saw this, I knew it had to make it on the list. First, if we just focus on the Darry part, it's garbage. A black silhouette of a plow being pushed by a man on a brown field. It's too much. Just have the plow, no need for the human element. And the Lannister sigil on its own, it's really good, if not very original, but having it next to the shit stain of House Darry, it just makes them both worse by comparison. Number 5. House Lips. What the fuck is this? I should not be able to accurately create a sigil with the emojis on my phone. Actually, I take that back. The emojis look better than this sigil. It's not pleasant, it's not cool. This was clearly a house name and sigil George came up with when he was running out of ideas. Sometimes no ideas are better than any. Number 4, House Osgrey. It's a green and yellow checkered line in the same damn pose we see the Lannister and Rain sigil have. At least they pick decent colors, not a reject from the Drunk Dumbo song. Lazy design, piss yellow and baby barf green as the chosen colors. Let this be a lesson to you. Ripping off better designs are not always a good idea, because you will be compared to your superiors and people will only remember you as the worst version. Number 3, House Santagar. Don't know why we have a retarded spotted Khajiit running around naked, but here we go. Too many colors on it, and I'm not a fan of the very animalistic cat wielding a weapon. Just go with the leopard on its own. Don't give it a weapon, its body is already the weapon. Number 2, House Umber. I get the feeling I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but I have seen many different designs of House Umber sigil, and I have read the description over and over, but it never comes out looking good. First off, bare minimum in regards to the number of colors, you have 4, which is too much. Second, you have a very human-like design, which I'm never a fan of. Third, it's overcomplicated because of the skin suit it wears. At best, you can recognize it at a distance, but if you recognize it and your first reaction is yuck, then it isn't good. Number 1, House Turnberry. My god, if Christmas was a holiday in Westeros, this would be the ugly-ass sigil your grandma would knit, and you'd have to display it for all to see so you don't hurt her feelings. Because of the yellow seeds in the strawberries, it has too many colors. It looks like the Bolton skinned an elf alive and just laid its carcass on the shield. I don't even think there's a way to really fix this. Just looking at it makes me feel nauseous, which is ironic because my face looks like the sigil itself now. And I know I put this at number 1, but there is one more sigil. A sigil so bad, I didn't think it was deserving to be number 1 because that's a number. No, my friends, this sigil is so bad, I can't believe that George ever thought this was a good idea. I am insulted as a member of the human race that he thought maybe someone would come up with this idea. So going above the Call of Duty, the worst sigil in the entire series is number 0, House Wydman. Where to begin? First, this sigil does not have 4 colors, or 5, or even 6. It has 7 prominent colors. 10 prominent items on the sigil, of which 5 of them are the same broken lance, and the main color is piss yellow. But hey now, it gets worse, as the reason it was designed like this was that the founder bested 5 knights from the Vale and Westerlands and put all their sigils on his own to show whose ass he kicked. Those being Redford, Linderley, Waynwood, Brax, and Lannister. This is just so sad. It's somehow more pathetic than the guy who graduated high school a decade ago showing off his football trophies. This is his great-great-grandson showing off those same trophies because the family has done nothing since then. For being a visual disaster as well as having lore as deep as a puddle, I name House Wydman as the owners of the worst sigil ever in A Song of Ice and Fire. But what do you all think? Is there a sigil from the books that you think is even worse than the ones I laid out? Do you think some of the sigils on here are actually good? If so, I know a mental facility you should check into, but either way, I'd love to hear all of your comments down below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe so you can see more, but until then, stay safe, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.